Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Digital Marketing Podcast with me and Alex Makura. Again, I'm Rocco Baldassare, and today, Alex, we're going to talk about first-party data, which is nothing that has to do with the party, one of those that people have fun at. This is all marketing stuff, a little bit boring, but still very essential to run a successful business in 2024.
Especially because Google was phasing out first party data as the number one, as like I think as a key stressor for quite a lot of digital marketeers. And I actually read yesterday that due to some complications in the UK, Google is taking a break in there, phasing it out 2024, and will most likely only do it 2025.
That is interesting, but still,
Did you read that yet?
I didn't read that yet, but one of the reasons why is because I actually found first party data so useful that I'm already using it. The other day, I was just talking to one of my Google reps for one of my accounts, and we were chatting about how can I feed Google data to convert more of my accounts. And he was like, look, believe it or not, customer match is going to become very important. So what did I do? I asked my client to extract the last year of customers in an Excel file. We uploaded it to Google, and like magic, conversion starts increasing for the client. So first party data, although initially I was a bit worried about cookies and what might happen, if you actually do a good job storing that information, it is actually quite powerful. But it does come with a drawback, and that's what I'm interested in your opinion. The drawback that I'm seeing right now, Alex, is that what about businesses that do not have enough data? Because I believe Google mentioned 1,000 users is the kind of benchmark you want to be at to get good results. What do you think is going to happen to the smaller advertisers?
I mean, I guess unfortunately, if we speak about maybe Google per se, smaller advertisers have already started to be marginalized massively because of Google's pressure on CPC prices as a number one sort of
Yeah.
statement. The CPC prices I read for like Q1 went up even further. So it's a decrease in the amount of clicks, but actually an increase in CPC costs.
Yeah.
So I think being a minor advertiser in today's world, and if you want to Google Ads might not be it. You need to maybe really start thinking very differently, just in terms of channels and how and what you do. I mean, I think both you and I, we've been part of digital marketing for so long where attribution, we've always struggled sort of to attribute and
Yeah.
therefore partly always used first party data to the limited extent we've had to sort of start improving our emails, newsletters, and to really start treating clients not just like another email address, but as actually like someone that may not have bought from me now but has shown interest and want to follow me, and
Yeah.
someone that I can actually establish a relationship with.
Yeah,
So,
something that Alex, I think you're saying that is key here is the keyword segmentation. Because when I'm talking to client nowadays, explaining what first party data means, because let's be clear, you cannot just tell clients we need to use first party data. You need to explain clients what that means and what impact it has on their business, right? So the typical example that I always use is lawyers. Like in my career, I worked with a lot of lawyers, and lawyers here in the US at least, to get maybe 500 clicks a month, you can spend anywhere between $40,000 and $70,000 a month. Clicks are very expensive, and for that much money, you can expect a case of $1,500. So you can understand you're not gonna get to 1,000 customers to upload. And well, customer match is a different issue. For some lawyers cannot even use that feature. But what I do with customer is, first of all, you do not only have customers. You have leads, which are marketing qualified or sales qualified leads. You have hot prospects. you have closed leads, you have lost leads. If you lose a lead or if you get a lead that is good quality, although you might not have closed it, that's a good signal to give Google. If you're an e-commerce, add to cart is better than a page view, and initiate checkout is better than an add to cart, a purchase is better than an initiate checkout. But if you don't have enough purchases, you can go back and add to that list. You can go back and add more. So I think that's the key here, right? What is the best signal we can give the platforms to give me the best outcome, right?
Mm-hmm. That's, and I think it's again experimentation of what works. But I guess considering, as you can hear, I think we're looking at it from a slightly different perspectives. I see almost like a multi-channel um, strategy or tactic in terms of creating these engagements. So they might be direct, organic. They might be via paid in terms of interaction and engagements, but how you keep that relationship going um, is could be email. They might be following these individuals might be following you on your social media channel. Um,
Yeah.
it is this importance now where I think there has been. I think part of why cookie consent and now this first party sort of is happening is also that companies have treated leads as leads and not as individuals where there's actually a relationship, and the company has just been screaming, look at me, look at me, look at me, without actually taking into account what the potential customer user actually want out of it. And I think there's a lot of people that are actually annoyed with all the screaming, um, and wanted to sort of take back the control a bit. And
Yeah.
I think that's what we're seeing, and I think those companies and marketeers that are sort of navigating this space the best are those that think of it as relationships.
And but Alex, like here is my my take here. Whenever they talk about first party data, everybody says, yeah, first party data is only gonna impact PPC. And I always tell them on the surface it might look like that, right? Because it's tracking and cookies and this and that. But in reality, SEO is a humongous source of first party data. Like that means that your SEO now becomes very important because while in the past you could track with cookies your paid visit, your organic visits as well, now collecting that extra data is so important. And actually, SEO in every industry I've been working with, they are known to have the kind of leads with the highest order value, whether it is an e-commerce or a service business. SEO has the best customers once you get those customers. In the law industry, for example, an average PPC customer is worth, let's say, $9,000 in personal injury, SEO customer $20,000. So now you want first party data as much as possible coming from SEO so you can train the advertising system to look for that type of customer.
And I mean, that's a very good way of actually putting it, and a very, yeah, I mean, super tactical. I mean, thanks for that, Rocco. I hope you guys were listening to this one because that this is a no brainer. I guess that again, if you don't have a solid SEO, if you don't have a solid sort of tactic or how you run your SEO today, I think it's worth the investment because you will have it over time, and and hopefully you will live that long. That's the unfortunate truth because SEO has the 6 to 12 month sort of horizon if you do things right. Um, but I think like your philosophy there is spot on because you're really training all the algorithms to just go for similar audiences that would already have found you via search engines.
No, and I think like that's the kind of mentality I want people to adopt because I've seen the power of first party data, which is the next best thing after cookies. Cookies were very powerful, but we cannot use them anymore. So now it's about building a relationship. And I feel that one of the episodes, I think 2 episodes ago, where we talked about the importance of delivering quality content, reusing blog posts, making sure that all the information that we put on our website has value added to it. It goes back to generating the quality first party data. But for those of you guys that have, are wondering what first party data is, how to implement it, it is not complicated. I just wanted to clarify that. It is literally an Excel file with email addresses and phone numbers, depending on what platform you're uploading it on. On Google, you can upload them both, and then they will match it up to people that are navigating, etc. But basically, once you provide that data, what the platforms will do, they will basically understand who is your customer, and when it comes to delivering your advertising message, they will tailor the people that see that based on the behavior of that consumer. So it kind of trains the AI to look for consumers. Now let's take a step back and think about cookies, right? What were cookies? Cookies were a system where you could optimize your advertising to serve your ads to people whose behavior was similar to the ones that converted on your site. That's where conversion bidding, CPA bidding comes from, right? So it's exactly the same thing, but now you are the one that needs to provide your own data. You cannot steal data through cookies, so to say.
Exactly. And I think, I mean, I like to see it as individuals that have actually handed over their contact details voluntarily to you in
Correct.
some type of form, for you to be able to remain in contact in some way. So they've shown some sort of intent, and they might actually be just as simple as downloading an ebook,
Yeah.
or it could be as far as actually bought a product from you, or actually are and so someone that is paying for, say, your SaaS solution. It doesn't really matter. I think like the key here though, and I've now stepped in to quite a few companies and their CRM systems. Everyone is very proud of that they're collecting a lot of data, but the data is very dirty.
That's exactly right.
So the segue here is that, there's a lot of data points that are being collected about all these users, and we now can sort of score them, lead score them, who has hired this and hired that. But actually, it's, I think, a very small percentage out there. And I mean, if you're one of them, awesome that you've actually ensured that your data is clean. Um, but majority, they sit with a lot of data points, but it hasn't been cleaned up, and therefore it's very difficult to use
Well, it's
because
not
it's
only
sitting
about
in.
cleaning up the data, is that also where are you collecting the data? Because here is an example, right? I can run a Facebook lead ad campaign, and those leads are never going to convert. Facebook lead ads is usually the lowest quality lead. Now, if I'm using this data as my first party data, it's not going to be a good data. It's not about also cleaning up, it's also about where and how we are collecting the data. So, for example, is the ebook being downloaded from a Facebook lead ad, or is being downloaded from a landing page? That makes the world of difference in terms of data quality, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think it's like important to focus on. But Alex, you were talking about emails, right? Email
Yep.
marketing, and so I would say that let's say it's a new company, somebody that has never done marketing before. It's like just startup. What would you say are the best steps to get the business successful online? Because now the rightful question is, if I don't have first party data, how much is it going to cost me to build my first party data, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a solid question, putting me on the spot.
Well,
Um,
let me give you a key, a start.
you already thought about this one.
No, I'll give you a starting point, which is
Sure.
whenever I launch, let's say, a new campaign, it happens many times that businesses come to you. Oh, my previous agency doesn't want me to use that account. That they deleted the pixel. So basically, I'm starting with nothing. And all I say is that A business is like a baby. You don't send a baby to college when it's 6 months old, right? First, you stay home and you make sure it grows until you can go to preschool or kindergarten. Then it goes to preschool, then it goes to elementary school, middle school. When it comes to businesses, my point of view is that, well, you might need to start with no search partners, no display, just search, and start doing maximize clicks until you have enough conversion to do maximize conversions. And by the time you get there, you might start acquiring some of the data along the way, because SEO, as you know, is not gonna be from day one getting traffic. So there must be like almost a growing phase, but the growing phase is probably gonna be a bit longer now. That's my feeling.
I mean, I think you're right, um, and you, I think it takes a big toll on you nowadays to actually get to know your user
Yeah.
and who your customer is before you go mainstream. Because I think to you, because also the world is becoming more and more fragmented as well. Women want different things at different age groups, or certain generations, without going into the various gens that they are around. And men want different things. So it's all becoming super fragmented. So setting yourself up to have a solid brand as well, that you represent something. So I mean, authenticity, we're back to it.
Yeah.
I mean, authenticity. We've spoken a bit about also, custom, user generated content to really showcase authenticity, dare to show who you are. um, and you have this grace period as well while building this. That it shouldn't go too fast either. So this like hyper growth of 10x per year, there are very few companies that will ever go through that. um,
And Alex, would you say that one of the most important things is probably to have a communication that is to the point, clear, and useful? Because I was trying to put myself in the shoes of a consumer, and I was like, you get bombarded nowadays with everything. Literally, the other day, I was at the restaurant. Behind my wife, there was a TV, and they were like showing ads. And then you go on your phone. By the time I ordered, there were like 5 emails promoting something. And then you drive, and you see advertisement everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. So to me nowadays, what really catches my attention is short, clear, and useful. So I kind of feel that the world in marketing has moved toward a lot fluffy as long as I send something. I feel people should move in the other direction, right? We could do a podcast every day if we wanted to and talk about the most random things. But my thought is, why don't we do something useful, short, and that actually delivers something that people want? So, do you think businesses need to rethink about their communication strategy and be more to the point, basically, and give something that maybe is not as frequent, but users want to read, they look forward to?
I mean, I think that now we're back to, of course. I mean, and to some extent, why the influencers sort of came from nowhere was that they did exactly that, but they also spoke in the same tonality that that the normal follower really, acknowledged and could sort of feel, could identify itself with. So I
But
think
that has been overused as well, though, now, right? Because influencer was born with I see something cool and I'm sharing it with you, to as long as you pay me, this is a good product.
exactly. So I mean, I still don't. I mean, I'm not a fan of, I guess, the sort of top influencers. I like long tail. The sort of 1,000 to 5,000, because there's still authenticity. Again, authenticity. They haven't sold themselves. They're not worth enough for big brands to sponsor stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think so. And I mean, I was actually reading the other day that in today's world, like considering SEO and updates and these things. In March, a big update happened. A lot of websites disappeared. all of a sudden you saw Reddit in your search, sort of in your search flow, which never happened before. Um, but one thing that they're putting emphasis on is useful content. And all of a sudden, content or websites and companies that have content that is useful, even it could be something that previously might have been called a lead magnet.
Yeah,
Could be that. I mean, I used to work for education once upon a time, MBA educations, and like we had a like a GMAT simulation test on the website. I mean, it was perfect. And in today's world, that would actually Google would actually award you for this type of thing
yeah.
rather than clunk down on you because this is useful.
Well, which is basically going back into generating quality first party data. It's basically like what kind of content are they consuming? Because again, you cannot only have clients. Some businesses are not big enough to have 1,000 clients, and that be recent enough to create good first party data. But now we are moving into what can I scale down to in terms of as close as possible to purchase, but it is still good quality data for me. So the GMAT example is excellent because you know that people that want to apply for college or a higher education program, they need that test done. So they want to practice on that test. So you can intervene prior to them making a choice. So that's actually very good first party data.
Correct. And so I mean, I think it's that was just also something that is very current, that is also almost bounced back from what used to be. So I mean, I think like similar to fashion and music, and and I guess movies that we like history repeats itself with sequels and you mentioned it, but also like because we're moving backwards almost in time because the evolution of third party cookies has taken it's sort of evolved quite a bit since
Yeah.
2005 or so when I think both you and I got started. And back then we didn't really have very sophisticated CRM systems that collected all this first party data. Neither, for that matter, third party cookies exist in the same extent. So we needed to be um, creative, I would say, and clever in terms of how we could attribute to at least say that, hey, actually, by us doing a Google Ads campaign targeting here, actually impacted our overall results for that period because we did an experiment, and with that we would be able to continue with that, but the data was not, we couldn't validate the data as much.
So Alex, kind of getting toward the end of our discussion, there is one more topic that I think is of relevance here. So when it comes to first party data, there is a lot that goes into actually understanding if you can use first party data. So, for example, a lot of lawyers, again, they cannot, or businesses in healthcare, they have trouble using it, or insurance businesses, they have trouble using it. While they have trouble, that's considered a sensitive business where privacy plays an even bigger role. And that's not a problem that is recent, it is a problem that has been there forever. More than a problem is a right. I feel like people have the right of privacy. And with that said, though, before healthcare providers, lawyers, they could still use cookies to be able to collect the kind of information. So right now they're gonna basically be out of the loop. As far as I know, there is really not much that can be done from that standpoint. You can still do it on Facebook, but Google doesn't allow you. So here I would say it becomes even more important the SEO component of things for the quality of the content and the relevancy of the content, right? Because with the limited access to first party data, you're gonna be lost otherwise.
And I mean, something that I don't think I would have ever believed that I would ever say. But I'm starting to come around and actually think that brand is becoming a very important aspect to things as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's not being talked much about because I mean, I think both of us are more in performance, but having a solid, strong brand may just be within a segment or a community or like a niche will boost your performance channels significantly.
Yeah.
And because again, that sort of shines through, but it should be measured very differently and shouldn't be measured in the same way as say performance marketing should be.
Yeah, and I mean, there is more and more evidence of such a complex interrelation across channels where you look at the CRM and you're like, oh man, paid is doing so well, or organic is doing so well, or email is doing so well. Then is I going to decrease my paid because I get a lot from organic, and then all of a sudden the other channels go down, or vice versa. And that interrelation and intricate, like kind of relationship, it is not because you are attributing things wrong, but as you said, brand is becoming so important that users are really taking their time to make a decision. And I feel like I don't need to go that much back in time. When I was a kid, when the first cell phones came out, we really had two options. I think there was Motorola and Nokia, right? Those were the two phones. The others were like, yeah, very small. So these are the two brands. Now you go buy a phone, and there is Apple, Samsung. There is like still some Nokia models, Motorola. Then you have all the different model of Samsung. Instead of having just one Nokia, you have like 10 Samsung, 10 Apple. So same thing with any service, right? There are so many people offer the same service that you're never going to have the ideal world somebody comes to your site, converts, becomes a customer. So I would say that now the biggest challenge is not only first party data, because you want to know who your customers are, but first party data can actually tell the AI the journey of these customers and how they got to you. You won't know that, but they will. And that's where the real value is, right?
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't have said it better. But I mean, I'm still what you mentioned there, and I mean, I'm still battling in my head. I know we're sort of going towards the end here, but you mentioned this like like the I guess the multi-funnel sort of attribution journey, um, but then also I guess what GA4 is more about. It's supposed to be data driven
Yeah.
attribution and so forth. Um, but this, I guess, is also like a tactic question to you, and also for those that are out there, those that do well in SEO.
Yeah.
How meaning ranking very high on SEO, including their brand, etc. Very low competition, and how much should they actually run paid marketing if they're not that they have the number one positions on all like so-called valuable terms. And
Well, you know, though, Alex, that's an interesting question for one simple reason. When I started this job, you had a couple of ads on the top, 270 ads on the side, and on top of the fold, position number one. Now, at least here in the US, because I don't know if you guys do local service ads in Europe, yeah, still, but you search for something and you're gonna see the paid local service ads on the top. They almost look like a shopping ad. If it is a product, you're gonna see shopping ads. Then you're gonna see 3 to 4 ads. Then you're gonna see maps. Usually the first two results are sponsored, and then you're gonna be the first organic. So my thought is you want to ideally be as high as possible organic, but it has become so important what you put in the title tag and the meta description, because now title tag and meta description are almost like your marketing tool, because you need to write something way more appealing than those 4 ads before you. Otherwise, they're just not going to click on it. But then the question remains what kind of business you are in. So, for example, there are a lot of industries where users need they just perform they click on the first ads. Give an example: cash buyers for homes. Here in the US, if you want to sell your home fast, there are some people that pay for it cash, just slightly below your market value, but in 7 days you sell your house. People do that because they inherited the house, because they want to move out, they want the money, right? Now, I've managed ads for this kind of businesses for 10 years. And I'm telling you, if you're not position one or position two, of course, with all the rest of the things done well, landing page, anything, you're going to get bottom of the barrel leads. So, no matter how high you are in organic, you need to be on top of paid. But now let's say you are in a B2B business for cybersecurity, you need to be first in organic, because that's what the kind of customer looks for. They look for the organic content. So it really depends, I feel, on the
Yeah,
industry.
no, I mean, exactly. I mean, it's interesting, and I mean, I think maybe this on its own might deserve its
Podcast,
own
right?
its own thought, like, and its own session. But like it's fascinating, like those two worlds,
Yeah.
because basically what you're telling me here, if you're in a B2C environment, doesn't matter. Highest up will get will get everything, and Google basically has has forced you as an advertiser or a brand to pay for that. May
Well,
just be in your
you
own
are right.
brand.
Because let's go back to the example of the cash buyer. uh, Companies that buy my house for cash, you need to be first on paid. But how does a cash buyer work for homes or whatever? Like, I'm just giving you a random terms. This person is not ready to generate a lead, so you're wasting your money, meaning $40 is wasted per click. You want to be first organic to get the users the education they need. Again, first party data.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, to me, this is like a fascinating area, like, just in terms of, because, at the same time, if you rank high on your SEO, but you have something on top, one of the many potential variables that Google has in their ranking algorithm and how you rank organically is you user cues, and one of these cues obviously is click, because you then if you then are ranking high but you stop getting clicks, you will start deteriorating on from that position, because Google indirectly will
Yeah.
think that, hey, this we've actually ranked the wrong website for the wrong query. We need to change who is number one, because
Yeah.
this one isn't getting any clicks.
It's
It- it-
fascinating, man.
it's like, how to balance this. Okay, how much are you willing to yeah, anyway, exactly. Own episode.
Yeah, and from what you're telling me, Alex, I don't know how you kept a full set of hair. It seems stressful, all that.
No, it's just a wig. uh, so yeah, no, I don't have to worry. Different colors,
Fair
different
enough.
length.
Fair enough. But Alex, I think we are getting toward the end today. We had a lot of people listening in. Seems that the topic was something people liked. But I'm going to first of all thank you. We are going to announce the next episode for May in a week or so. We just need to discuss the topics. We always like to do some research on our end, guys, to find the best topics for you. But Alex, thank you so much. I hope you have some good plans for the weekend coming up.
Doing my best. Let's see. I don't plan that long ahead. It's only Thursday.
Only one day ahead, right?
Exactly.
That
But
sounds
yeah, no, thank you, everyone. And I mean, please do drop a note if there's any particular topics that you guys want us to cover.
yeah. Always feel free to comment here or write us privately on LinkedIn or comment on the event, and then we will always make sure to cover topics you guys find interesting. Thank you so much again, and have a good rest of your week. Bye bye.
Have a good one. Ciao.